Aristotle's concept of the golden mean is a central principle in his ethical theory. It refers to the idea that virtue lies in finding the right balance between two extremes. This video will explore the key aspects of Aristotle's golden mean, providing an overview of its central concepts and themes. Aristotle believed that human beings have a natural tendency to seek pleasure and avoid pain. However, he also recognized that there are many situations where it is difficult to determine the right course of action. For example, if someone is facing a difficult decision, they might be tempted to act too rashly or too cautiously. Aristotle believed that the key to making good decisions in these situations was to find the right balance between two extremes. The first extreme that Aristotle identified was excess. This refers to situations where people go too far in their pursuit of pleasure, or where they act in a way that is excessive or extreme. For example, someone who eats too much food, drinks too much alcohol, or engages in risky behavior is acting in excess. The second extreme that Aristotle identified was deficiency. This refers to situations where people fail to act in a way that is appropriate or necessary. For example, someone who is too timid or cautious, or who fails to take risks when they are necessary, is acting in deficiency. Aristotle believed that the key to finding the golden mean was to use practical wisdom, or phronesis. This involves using reason and experience to determine the right course of action in a particular situation. Practical wisdom is not something that can be learned from a book or a lecture, but rather is something that is acquired through experience and reflection. Aristotle also recognized that the golden mean is not a fixed point, but rather is something that can change depending on the situation. For example, what constitutes the golden mean in one situation may not be the same as what constitutes the golden mean in another situation. This means that people need to be able to adapt and adjust their behavior depending on the situation they are facing. One of the key strengths of Aristotle's golden mean is that it allows for a great deal of flexibility and nuance in ethical decision-making. Rather than relying on hard and fast rules or principles, the golden mean encourages people to use their own judgment and experience to determine the right course of action. This allows for a greater degree of personal responsibility and accountability in ethical decision-making. However, one potential weakness of the golden mean is that it can be difficult to determine where the golden mean lies in a particular situation. For example, it can be difficult to determine what constitutes an appropriate level of risk-taking or a healthy balance between work and leisure. This means that people need to be able to use their own judgment and experience to determine the right course of action. In conclusion, Aristotle's concept of the golden mean is a complex and nuanced idea that emphasizes the importance of finding the right balance between two extremes. It encourages people to use their own judgment and experience to determine the right course of action in a particular situation. While there are some potential weaknesses to the golden mean, it remains a valuable tool for ethical decision-making and has had a lasting impact on philosophy and ethics.